In the Horn of Africa, in what is today the Somali Democratic Republic, the Republic of Djibouti, Ethiopia's Harar province, and the northern province of Kenya, live the Somali people. As for now nobody has an accurate census, the informed guesses have reckoned them to a number around 5 million, that number has now risen to 15.44 million. They occupy a territory slightly less than 40,000 square miles in extent, stretching from the tip of the East African Horn on the east to the environs of Harar on the west, and from Djibouti in the north to River Tana in the south. Although there are variations from one region to another and from one year to the next, rainfall is generally inadequate, and the country consists largely of dry savanna plains, sparsely covered with wiry tufts of coarse grass. It is also dotted with thorny acacia trees, occasional baobabs, and a multitude of giant termites hills. It is generally hot the year around, though seasonal winds and elevations have a moderating effect in localized mountains areas. From this harsh and unenviable natural conditions, bordering on a desert-type climate characterized by insufficiency and unreliability of rainfall, as well as frequent droughts, the Somalis eke out an austere existence by herding flocks of herdy goats and sheep, and herds of cattle and camels. Very early in their history they mastered their environment and animals to the extent that their tradition corpus of astronomical knowledge and animal husbandry has astonished early 19th century scientists by its richness and scientific content. They spread themselves very thinly over a wide expanse of land and engaged in endless cycles of seasonal transhumance. By this technique they struck a balance with nature and found a reasonable solution to the important problem of existence. Theirs is a perfect example of nomadic pastoralism, duplicated very rarely elsewhere, of man and his stock permanently on the move in perpetual search for water and fresh pasture. The only area with, or within easy reach of, perennial water supply is the belt between and around the Juba and the Shabelle rivers in southern Somaliland. Here, in this relatively better provisioned part of the country, a lucky minority estimated at 30% of the whole population, but constantly on the increase at the expense of the nomadic sector has taken to the less demanding life of sedentary cultivation and part-time pastoralism. Even here, despite its relative abundance of food and water, vis-a-vis northern poverty, life is not all that easy, for the rivers are bound to dry up every now and then, and rainfall is not altogether reliable. The agriculturist, therefore, has found it necessary to rotate crops or to leave patches of his land fallow, so as to increase productivity by judicious conservation of the soil. Some, especially those at distance from the river, even refrain from the cutting of bushes and trees in their farms, and merely plant their crops around the trees, in order to reduce the weather effects of wind during the dry season, and abrasion of the topsoil by water runoffs during the rainy seasons, which are usually characterized by small flash floods. Much ink has been spilled since the 19th century, in a tediously repetition fashion, on the nature and peculiarities of the Somali social system. We shall, therefore, dispense with unnecessary details and present here a quick overview, pointing out only the most prominent features of the system and the principles at its base. The Somali nation is divided into 6 clan families which, nevertheless, all claim descent from 2 eponymous ancestors, brothers known as Saab and Somali. Each clan family is in turn subdivided to the individual family. The largest political unit in this system is the clan, which recognizes the leadership of hereditary sultan, variously known among the Somalis as Zuldan, Bokur, Urugiz, Wabir, Garid, Malayak, Iamam, Iaslayan, or Iaslau. This title is really misleading, for the Somali sultan can hardly be said to possess any more authority than other clan elders, who theoretically include all the adults males in the clan. In fact, an ordinary clan member can, by dint of wisdom, experience, and other personal attributes, overshadow and command more respect or authority than the sultan himself. Ultimately, though, it is neither the sultan nor such illustrious personalities who wield authority. Rather, it is the totality of all the adult males in the clan and assemblage that decides on the important issues, the sultan being only an honored primus inter pares within this assembly. This essentially anti-authoritarian character is such a basic and striking trait in the Somali culture and social system that it has never escaped the notice of anybody who came in contact with the Somalis, be they African or European. A British traveler in East Africa who consulted his Muganda escort about the identity of some caravanners they encountered on the road was surprised with the contemptuous yet revealing reply, "Somalis, Bawana, they no good, each man his own sultan." An equally unsympathetic and ignorant opinion of this Somali cultural peculiarity was recorded by an English colonial officer. It is this contempt for duly constituted authority, combined with an ardent love of freedom, that is the most outstanding feature of the Somali character. Jack is as good as, nay, better than his master. Youth has no respect for age, nor poverty for wealth, nor ignorance for wisdom, as Europeans understand these terms. Despite this apparent reign of anarchical egalitarianism, the system maintains a remarkable degree of political and social cohesiveness. In the place of chiefly or kingly authority around which political loyalties are organized in the other part of the world, the Somalis are held together by the principle of patrilineal kinship, which binds members of a clan for their mutual defense and for any kind of common political action. Through orally recorded genealogies of the innate line of descent, which everyone memorizes at childhood, a Somali thus finds his or her position in society first as a member of a lineage, then of a clan family, and finally of the Somali nation. In this hierarchy of affiliation, genealogical distance determines one's political attachments and associations, the most binding loyalty being reserved for the closest agnatic kinsmen, numbering from a few hundred to few thousands, with whom one shares corporate political and jural responsibilities. Baffled by the inexact definition of this body and the multiplicity of Somali terms for it, for example, Kalu, Tul, Rier, i.e., agnates, European scholars coined and popularized for their convenience a curious descriptive compound phrase for this unit. They called it diya paying group. Diya is Arabic. The equal term in Somali is mag, meaning compensation for murder, because the members of this body are forever bound by a contractual agreement to share the responsibility and reparation for murder. Compensation for injuries to body or to pride and dignity, on the other hand, are given or received individually or shared by the immediate family or relatives in the case of a serious hurt. For this reason, social and political cohesion within the clan is strongest and most intimate at this lineage or diya-paying level. In the circumstance of an external threat, however, all the members of the clan can be rallied on short notice to the common cause. These political loyalties based on patrilineal descent from a common ancestor are reinforced by a political legal contract, which regulates social relationship within the clan, as well as its external dealings with the neighboring clans. Relationships among members of the clan are stipulated in internal clan covenants and external collective responsibilities by a similar series of agreements with the surrounding clans. Technically, therefore, and this is always the case, different treaties with different clans are liable to embody differing terms of settlement for the same kind of dispute. Thus, injuries to body or pride are evaluated for compensation by no general standard, but according to the terms of the explicit treaties between the respective clans of the parties to any violation. In southern Somaliland, where agriculture has been the way of life for centuries, the system underwent a certain amount of modification in adaptation to the different environmental and economical exigencies. Here, attachments to the soil and the neighborhood have come to replace the pastoralists' loyalties based on agnatic connection. Understandably, the lineage and sometimes clan names tend to be derived from localities of settlement rather than from eponymous ancestors. Moreover, the process of conversion to cultivation or semi-sedentary lifestyles has given rise to three distinctive social classes with varying rights to the ownerships and utilization of the land. Thus the first settlers of any locality, Urid, literally means firstborn, form a sort of politico-religious aristocracy over subsequent but long settled and recent accretions who enjoy respectively less and least secure privileges. Better yet, the semi-anarchical pastoral politics of the nomad has given way to an incipient institution of chieftaincy. This economic and cultural differentiation between the northern pastoralist and the southern farmer, however, is not as serious as it may sound on the first hearing. There are no natural barriers to separate them, and their habitation of the same contiguous territory entails constant rubbing of shoulders. Economic complementary, whereby the pastoralist barters his milk and meat for the farmer's grain, and cultural intermingling. A commonality of language and rich oral literature notwithstanding dialect differences, coinciding with the cultural cleavage and a shared religion, Islam, are the other factors also militating against the process of cultural differentiation. 500 years ago of more or less continual conflicts with Christian Ethiopia have also been cited as another factor contributing to the homogeneity of the Somali nation. Thus, despite the existence of two different traditions and principles of political affiliation in the two, pastoral and farming, economic areas, the Somalis still maintain their belief in a common lineal descent from one eponymous ancestor. And even though historically they have never come under one political system, the shared heritage of Islam and belief in a common ancestor make for a strong sense of pan-Somali cultural nationalism. Since the 19th century, Somali studies have been plagued by, as yet unresolved, two apparently interdependent controversies over Somali ethnic origin and the dispersal point of the Somali nation, the latter coming to the fore since 1960. In their genealogies, the Somalis have always claimed descent from Arab noble families, invariably of Quraishi stock, Prophet Muhammad's clan, and holy. The problem of Somali ethnic claims was confounded by the pioneering works of some European scholars, who gave at least partial validity to these claims of noble pedigree in the Somali genealogical charters. However, from the point of view of scientific anthropology and historical linguistics, these claims appear merely vulgar, more like an innocuous idiom, expressing the Somali deep-rooted religious and cultural ties with Arabia. Needless to say, the issue has not been settled to the Somalis' satisfaction, and the claims still linger on with even greater ramifications. As just intimated, serious scholarship has never really given any credence to these Somali claims, and there has not been much disagreement over the ethnic identity of the nation. The more serious controversy arose out of the discussion regarding Somali's original home and the direction of their subsequent expansion. Before the 1960s, scholars generally regarded the Makir, northeast coast of Somaliland, as the cradle of the nation. This coast and its immediate hinterland supposedly contain the graves and tombs of the founding fathers of most of the larger clans and clan families. Moreover, Somali oral traditions are consistent in their claims of national genesis there, and point to a gradual movement of some of the clans south and westwards away from the original home of the nation. Finally, these older theories maintain it was Arab population pressures and technological, political and religious influence that occasioned these Somali movements. These theories further maintain that the Horn of Africa was inhabited prior to the arrival of the Somalis, from where, we are not told, by Bantu peoples, the former occupying the southern portion and the latter situated in the central and northern areas. Dr. Enrico Cerulli, one of the scholars who champion this theory, points to place names and other linguistic evidence supposedly suggesting Oromo occupation before the Somalis of territories in central and northern Somaliland, which are inhabited today exclusively by Somalis. Professor Ian Murden Lewis also mentions as a tentative evidence in support of this theory Somali traditions which unanimously ascribe to the Oromo the numerous earth and stone tumuli found in northern and central Somaliland, the so-called Gallo graves. According to this theory, in their expansion and march south and westwards, the Somalis shoved in front of them the Oromo, who in there pushed the Bantu before them, the trend continuing until the Somali drive was arrested by the establishment of colonial boundaries in the late 19th century. The Somalis continue the proponent of this theory, frequently outpaced the other groups, thus occasionally trapping small pockets of these peoples in the Horn of Africa, where they still remain today at various stages of assimilation within the Somali society. This reconstruction has been under attack in recent years by newer research, which attempts to construct its major premises. Employing anthropological data and historical linguistics, the latter-day research has arrived at a different view, which seeks the origins of the Somalis and the ethnically related Oromo in the general area of southeastern Ethiopia. Moreover, the revisionist theory asserts that the Somalis have moved into the Horn of Africa northwards from the Quraishites' dispersal point in southern Ethiopia, earlier than the Oromo, who started their expansion in the 16th century and only partially followed in the steps of the Somalis.